Hello, I'm Sally, and continuing our series on the 7 C's of resilience, today I'm talking about coping. So, what is coping? Coping is something that we use, it's a skill that individuals use to continue through a thought, an item, some sort of an event that's disrupting your life. Coping is a way to connect with your day to day, meet your needs. Coping skills are specific tools and techniques that are used to decrease your stress, establish or maintain a sense of order, whether that's internal or external, and help you handle difficult emotions. There's two types of coping. So one is crisis coping, immediate coping, and the other one's day-to-day or maintenance coping. So crisis coping skills are skills that you would use in a situation where you feel you need to get over your emotions. It's an immediate need. These types of skills can look like deep breathing. They can incorporate grounding techniques. They can include taking a walk around the block or going for a drive, practicing mindfulness exercises, even something as simple as making a to-do list that keeps of everything that's rolling around in your head. That's what we consider crisis or immediate coping. Maintenance coping, day-to-day coping skills. These are more things that you do every day to build into your life a way to help you stay calm and even during life's stressors. These might include something like getting enough sleep or taking advantage of time to decompress, practicing or following guided meditation, eating healthy, connecting with family and friends, decreasing or stopping substance use, exercising, anything like that you would do on a daily or weekly basis that helps you helps you calm down, helps you kind of work through and makes daily stresses be less stressful. So the good news here is that you already have coping skills. You may not recognize it. Just because they might be something that you've done all the time. Maybe you go online and watch funny cat videos. Maybe you call your mom and vent about your day. Maybe you just go to sleep. Whatever you might be doing to cope during stressful situations, those are considered coping skills. So my husband likes to wander when he gets home from work. So he will go out into our yard. We have just over an acre. So he'll go out into the yard and he'll kind of wander every bit and piece and check all of the plants and flowers and check the status of the berries and look at the garden and see what kinds of things we have. And this is something that he's always done. It's really kind of important to him. A few years ago, I went on a meditation retreat and I came back just full of energy and excitement, and I wanted to share this with him about meditation. So we started meditating together and he did not like it. He was pretty bored. And that's fair. Meditation isn't right for everybody. And gradually we came to realize that his wandering around when he came home from work was his form of meditation. It was his maintenance coping skill that he uses to kind of help his day go better. Once we recognized that, of course we embraced it and moved on. So sometimes you have these skills, you don't even recognize that they're there. But when you have the coping skills, you still have the stressful situations. So what can you do? You still have to face the problem that's giving you the stress, right? So I'm going to tell a couple of stories today. So this one is about Keith Jarrett. So Keith is a world-renowned legendary jazz pianist. In 1975, he was in Cologne, Germany, and he was going to give a concert. Now, Keith Jarrett is known for improvising his concerts. So he likes to, he just gets on stage without much preparation and plays these majestic, beautiful, amazing concerts. So on this particular day, I believe it was January of 1975, he gets to Cologne, Germany. Now he's driven for 350 miles. He's pretty tired. He's got some back problems, so his back's been hurting. He's hungry. He gets to the venue and he meets with Vera Brandis, who is 17 years old. She is the organizer and the producer of this specific concert. Now, Vera began producing music with concerts and music when she started about 3 months prior to that. So she had an interest in this music, in jazz music particularly, as a family friend started to take her to these jazz festivals. She would meet with these influential individuals, because this family friend of hers was rather involved in part of this whole community. So she would meet with all of these people, and soon it became of interest of hers to start producing music concerts. So this is one of her early concerts that she produced. So this was at the Cologne Opera House, which was quite a large theater. I believe it was 1,300 individuals, 1,300 seat venue. So she agrees, she gets them to agree to host Keith Jarrett. So she brings Keith to the venue. They're there, she's showing him the piano that has been set up for his use. And he takes one look at the piano and he whispers something to his producer. And his producer comes over to Vera and says, yeah, Keith's not gonna play on that. That's just not gonna happen. And they leave. And so Vera is devastated. So she decides that she's going to do her very best. So she tries to get the right piano. So there was a mistake, some sort of a series of miscommunications. The piano provided was just essentially unplayable. The keys would stick, the pedals didn't work, the felt was worn away on everything in the upper register. It was small. The piano itself was small. It wasn't loud enough to reach out to the back of the audience, to the edges of the concert hall. And Keith Jarrett is known to be quite a perfectionist with his concerts. He really, things need to be done just so. As a matter of fact, there's a story that he would hand out cough drops to his audiences so that they wouldn't cough and disturb the performance. So that's how much of a perfectionist he is. So this lovely girl, Vera, is scrambling, trying to figure out how to make it work. She's not able to get another piano. She is able to get the piano a little bit more in tune. It's not perfect, but it's a little bit more in tune. So in the meantime, Keith and his producer had gone to dinner, and Keith, for some reason, didn't get served till the very end. The food that he was given wasn't what he'd ordered, so it's just not a good day for Keith. Not a happy day. Vera, also not a happy day for either one of them. And they go back to the venue. Keith and his producer go back to the venue, and she says, this is what I was able to do. And Keith says no, and he goes out and sits in the car. So Vera is beside herself. She goes out, apparently it's raining, and she stands outside of the car in the rain and begs, Keith, please, I need you to play. And he looks at her and he says, I am only doing this for you. He goes back in. He goes back in to play the unplayable piano. So he has a back brace. He has to stand up, he's pounding on the keys. But that concert, because it was recorded, he and his producer recorded the concert as a don't give me, so they could use it as a way to show other concert halls what happens when he isn't given what he needs to play. So it turns out that this particular piece, when they did record it, it turned out to be one of the most beautiful pieces of music that he's played. And when the album was produced and sent out, it became the best-selling jazz piano album of all time. So this is called the Cologne Concert, Keith Jarrett. I'll put a link wherever I can so that you can go back to it. I wanted to play a little bit today, but I was a little worried about copyright issues, and I don't need a suit, so I'll just put links in. But I encourage you to listen to it. It's one of my very favorite pieces of music, and it helps me to remember that sometimes chaos breeds creativity. today I did some research. So today Vera Brandes is the director of the research program of music medicine at Pericles Medical Private University in Salzburg, Germany. So she focuses her research and publications on the power of music and healing. So she's still in music, and she still is doing many things. And the first thing that happens when you Google her is you see this story about her and Keith Jarrett. So I find that very interesting, and I really love listening to that concert, especially in times of stress, because it helps me remember if the situation I'm in, is this an unplayable piano? Can I still work through it? So the lesson here that I'm trying to give you is that it's okay to stress and worry, but sometimes we just have to keep going forward. So there's another story I wanted to share. So in 2010, a Princeton University professor, Daniel Oppenheimer, a colleague of his, conducted a study. So the study was designed to assess if font use in handouts changes the ease of learning for the reader. So over the course of a year, 220-something high school students were given their materials in easy-to-read fonts like Arial or Times New Roman, or in a more difficult font like a 12-point Comic Sans or a Bodini in a light shade. At the end of the year, the two groups were assessed, and they found that the group with the harder-to-read fonts had actually done better in the assessment tests, which was not what they had predicted would happen. When they went back and looked at the research and formulated their hypothesis as to why this was happening, they decided that it was because the harder to read fonts made the students slow down. They were able to understand the content better, and that was able to increase their learning. Okay, one more story. So this one is about Brian Eno. Now, he is quite a well-known music producer. He works with artists such as U2, David Bowie, Devo, Coldplay, many artists. I'm sure we all have an album that he's worked on in our repertoire somewhere. But how does he work to make these artists better? Well, he does it by throwing in just a little bit of chaos. He sits with them in their recording studio, and if the bands get stuck, he pulls out a deck of cards, and he created the cards just for this. They're called the oblique strategies. He makes the band do whatever is on the card that he pulls. So sometimes the cards say change your instruments, play something different. Sometimes the cards say emphasize the flaws. Sometimes the cards say in total darkness, play it in total darkness, or play it in a really large room, very quietly. The artists hate this because it makes them change. It makes them do something different than they're used to doing. And we, as a human species, we do not like to change. We like our routine. We like the way our world works. And when we're forced to change, it just becomes chaos. So we have to learn how to cope with it. So by working through the change, finding a way to work through it, playing the unplayable piano, we then find a way to get better, to become more creative, to find ourselves within the pieces that have been scattered all across the floor. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't good for you. So those are the stories I have today. That's what I wanted to talk to you about was coping in chaos. I think it's rather fitting today, especially in this world of our pandemic and the world of Zoom, where we have all learned how to change our routines and our lives and our work to something that keeps us safe and healthy. And I'll bet out there are some places that have thrived in this environment because they were forced to change. So chaos brings coping strategies, which in turn make you work through the chaos and then make us better people.